Welcome to A Better HR Business, the podcast that looks at how HR consultants and HR tech firms grow their businesses and how they help their employers to get the best out of their people. Remember, for show notes and downloads, go to www.getmorehrclients.com/podcast. That's getmorehrclients.com/podcast. Okay, let's get started.
Hello, welcome back to the show. Great to have you along. And I'm really looking forward to today's conversation with Isidora Mayer. Izzy is a fascinating person. She's the CEO of a very cool company called Flatworld. And Flatworld helps hiring teams to get flooded with AI-produced job applications by using a 12-minute pre-employment job and company fit assessment by fusing psychology, AI, and video. And it helps identify the true candidate in that sea of AI-enhanced profiles that we've all heard about. And they've helped companies across the world and have successfully vetted over 70,000 candidates, and that's just only increasing every day. So fabulous stuff. Izzy, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
I know you're international and you've got an international team. You are a bit like me, from one place in another, and tell us about that.
So as you'll very soon find out, I have a very American accent. My mom's from California, but I was raised in Greece and studied abroad and came back. So I'm currently spitting distance from the Acropolis.
Oh, fabulous. Very good. Very good. So yeah, I'm so impressed with Flatworld. I kind of gave the overview of it just briefly, but in your words, just tell us about Flatworld, what it does and how it helps employers.
So Flatworld started before the pandemic happened. So it was one of the few companies that thought about remote and looked at remote work as a whole before it became cool, quote unquote. We figured out a lot of the issues concerning remote work. So we were positioned in a great place right when the pandemic hit and everyone was looking for candidates all over the world to provide that to a whole bunch of companies. So during COVID, we grew quite a lot as a company, and we ended up finding kind of a solution that is high touch, pre-vetted candidates. So I have a psychology degree. I am a true advocate of the humanity of it all, especially in this AI world. So I really want hiring to be human. I want it to be, you're looking for a job and this is the right company for you, both technically, but also for your long-term health and happiness. Because not every candidate is a good for every company. Not every company is a good for a candidate. So we have found kind of a great way to vet candidates who are looking for jobs and also vet companies who are looking for candidates. It's a two-sided thing to match in the middle. And we are kind of the glue that sits in between those.
I love that you're thinking about the remote workforce or hiring from different locations, because previous to the global pandemic, we had the global, I'm from Australia, we had the oil and gas boom. So we were trying to hire people from all over, all sorts of different countries. And for many companies, it was a bit scary to hire talent from a CV, maybe a couple of Zoom calls. And back then it was probably a Skype call. You're taking some of that fear out and giving some more data to the process. Yeah. So tell us how it works.
The other part of that is hand-holding the company. So because there is a lot of fear of hiring someone across the world, I myself have felt that. I have employees who are in completely different time zones. And sometimes you don't know it's a holiday. Yeah. So you don't know the candidate is not working today. So we handhold the companies and provide a lot of support in what it looks like to hire someone and what it looks like to support a candidate who wants to end up working remotely for you. As far as the vetting for the candidates, we have kind of a 3-step attack to it. It is notable to say that 70% of the original candidates that apply to any of our roles don't pass our first step because we do tend to work on senior profiles. We tend to work on technical profiles. There has to be a level of technical understanding. So the first step is just a very easy, for most developers, multiple choice test. So we assess their technical knowledge, their technical know-how, etc. And from there, we do a self-recording. So we prompt them with 6 questions and they answer over a video recording. So we're not there, which means they can do it on their own time. and they don't have the stress of being on camera like I do now. And generally speaking, it's a much smoother process for the candidate so they can answer the questions naturally. And that's where we can assess a lot of things. First of all, we assess how they're speaking to the camera, how lit up the room is, how prepared they are to be in a remote setting. Because being a remote worker, I would say it's 60% technical know-how, being able to do the job, and 40% communication and preparedness, being able to work from across the world for a company, align with their values, align with their needs and wants and desires for the future, and feel like you're part of the team. It's a two-way kind of street. So once they finish the video self-recording part, we send them to a personality assessment where we assess their fit to that specific company, not just generally. We actually look at the nitty-gritty. Will you be a good personality fit for this CEO, for this manager, for this team, for this time zone, etc.?
I think it's so important because we've all seen candidates who've become new colleagues. And I've got one person in mind where I realized pretty quickly they'd realized that they'd made a mistake. They go, oh gosh, this is not the right role. This is not the right place for me. And maybe it was a placeholder until they found the next one.
It's the worst feeling.
It is.
For everyone. For
Yeah, exactly.
everyone.
Yeah.
And I really want to prevent that from happening because there are enough roles out there and there are enough candidates to make that great match.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So what kind of companies are using, what kind of employers would be using Flatworld to fill these roles and get the alignment?
So we've worked with kind of giant companies when they weren't so giant. So we worked with Deal for the first couple of years before they became like kind of huge and have their whole HR kind of department now. We filled about 80% of their engineering team back.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a very fruitful relationship because they are a tech company. They were growing rapidly and they needed pre-vetted candidates. So that's kind of my profile on the surface level. On a deeper level, as a person, really want to be candidate forward. I know how hard it is to find a job, and I know how kind of grating and horrible and self-deprecating and all of it can be, and I don't want to be an additive to that scene. I want to take away from that. So I won't work with companies that won't treat their employees well. That's one of my core values. Because of that, I get to represent super cool products and super cool managers and teams, and I don't have to protect the candidates from the potential company. I get to shine a light on all the things they're doing.
Yeah, that's a nice way to be. And are there any particular industries or types of companies that you see will use this more over time, like it's a growing area or a sector?
We're in the tech industry generally. So yeah, anything that has to do with development as well as AI, of course, but especially senior developers, product managers, anything that is required to make a product run and to make a product work, especially large companies, large teams that require, an offshore branch to their company, that's where we fit in.
It's a pretty crowded space, a very busy area, the tech sector and hiring, recruitment, assessment, and so on.
It is.
What are you doing to get the word out and help grow Flatworld from a marketing perspective?
We have found that because it is such a crowded space, it is very hard to kind of rise above the noise as something that's quality over quantity. So I'm very, very invested in the relationships that we have. And that has seemed to, first of all, keep us going, but also bring us new business. So every new company that comes and every old relationship that I have, I maintain, and we make a very, very hard effort to keep a very good relationship between us. And that's why we're very selective when we choose a company to work with originally, to be able to provide you that really high touch. And they end up telling their friends, they end up telling their families, they end up telling the companies they work with. We've had so many companies come to us telling us XYZ, told us about us, raved about you, and we're here to see it for ourselves. And they've become long-term partners and companies that we work with. So I'd love to offer a solution to someone who's listened to this and kind of say, go to LinkedIn and make a post every 3 days and make it sound this way and da da da, and this will work for you and it'll increase your marketing immediately. But unfortunately, it's not that easy and it's not that straightforward. And I find being really human and humanizing in this experience and understanding you're speaking with another person, not a robot, who has their own life and their own ups and downs. And once you add that into the conversation, you can really kind of understand that we're all trying to achieve the same thing.
Yeah.
So, for example, like I have a meeting tomorrow with a client that we used to work with that is no longer hiring anymore, but they like us so much we meet for coffee every couple of weeks, you know? It's great. And honestly, if I have the time, I will absolutely give it to you.
Nice. What sort of things do you do that gets that very close relationship, that helps get that referral, that word of mouth? Because everyone says, oh, we want to look after our customers and make them happy. You know, what does that really mean in detail, I guess?
One of the things we do is say no. That's a big one. And I feel like a lot of companies, especially newer companies, are afraid of that, but it'll end up doing more harm to your business and your name than it will to just say no. And I know a lot of people say that's not the way to do it, but in hiring, it is personal. You're feeding someone, you're putting food on someone's table. So for me, it's 100% personal. So it starts with that. And as far as the companies are concerned, I handhold probably more than I should. I am available for them basically until we get the first person that they interview and they're like, oh, interesting person, you know, let's go to the second interview or let's send them a technical assessment or whatever. Until that happens, I am there. And I'm there for any questions you have. I'm there for calls. And the best thing I can do is provide results. So when a new client comes, I'm immediately thinking, okay, what kind of profile am I looking at? Let's have a call with you. Let me understand exactly what you need. If the first call doesn't yield my understanding of what you need, so then I can explain it to our recruiters and our candidates, I will have another call with you and ask you hard questions like, what do you not want to work with? Who is your profile that is a no-go? And start getting down to the personality of the candidate because it's easy to vet for technical ability. And then basically from the moment they get the first and the second candidate that are good quality candidates, and they're not getting 20 every second, they're getting one or two every day, they immediately kind of, I mean, quite honestly, get off my case and trust us to do our job. And when it comes from a client that already vouched for you, there's that added trust in you.
Do you find that candidates and or employers look at Glassdoor much in this process?
Yes. I mean, look, they look at everything. They look at Reddit posts. They look at anything and everything. And I get it. When you're trying to look for a job and you're trying to look at the culture of a company, it's hard to kind of read it through all the BS that's on their website.
Yeah.
And I have also said no to candidates. A candidate wants to apply to this company. They pass all the steps. They're ready to be applied. And I explain to them that the culture won't be a good fit for them. On the candidate side, the company will be fine with you, but you will not be happy. Now, it's your choice. Obviously, you're the candidate. But I will give you that extra information that maybe is hidden behind marketing jargon about the culture, about the nitty-gritty of actually working. What's your day-to-day going to be like?
And for employers using Flatworld, how does the fee structure work? Not the actual numbers, but is it a percentage? Is it a subscription? Or
that's also another benefit to Flatworld and a benefit for the client. You do not pay until you hire the candidate.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So we will do a whole bunch of work for you and basically prove to you that we are worth the work. And once we do prove to you and you're ready to hire a candidate, then we will take a percentage. And that's it. You know, it's a one-time fee and you're done. And if you want to continue with us, you continue with us and the structure continues. I don't want to bankrupt a company in search of a candidate profile that maybe doesn't work, for example, or maybe doesn't exist.
Can I ask you something completely different? It was something listed on your LinkedIn profile, and I'm going to read. It says, I stepped into leading Flatworld during a downscale and kept the platform, the people, and the service moving. I managed everything from user flows and product decisions to internal operations, client communications, and the overall hiring experience. I like understanding how all the pieces fit together and then finding the simplest way to work them better. What was behind that?
I'll start from the beginning. Flatworld was founded by two founders that aren't me before the pandemic started.
Yeah.
And about 6 months after they started the company, I applied to one of their job positions and was rejected
Oh, I'm sorry.
to work at Flatworld and was rejected from Flatworld. And I emailed the CEO at the time and I said, hey, you're making a giant mistake. It was quite ballsy of me, to be honest with you. But
Nice.
I emailed him and said, you're making a giant mistake. This is my dream job. And, 5 years later, truly was my dream job. And thankfully, he listened to me and gave me the time of the day. And we had a call and he gave me a chance. And 5 years later, I'm kind of the CEO now of Flatworld. So originally, I was rejected. I fought tooth and nail because I really believed in the company and the product and the offering because I was one of those candidates that was desperate. And due to basically COVID ending and remote work kind of going through this, is it cool? Is it not? Is it appropriate? Is it not? Are we going to do it? Are we not? Da, 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 da. There was a lot of imbalance in the kind of financial industry as a whole. We had a lot of financial difficulties during that time. So we had to downscale quite significantly. And during that time, one of our co-founders stepped away. She ended up doing her own project. She had a kind of side gig that she was really into. And now my co-founder, the person who runs this with me, ended up getting an offer from quite a large tech company that you kind of can't say no to when they knock on your door. So he ended up basically asking me to have a Zoom call and handing me the company. Yes, I was running a large portion of it for about 8 months prior to that. But that was the moment where he basically presented me the platter. It was a crazy moment, and it took me months to kind of even step into the position of, okay, this is mine. I own it and I run it and I have to maintain it. I stepped into this CEO position with very little experience other than my own personal experience. I'm 30 years old. Like I've got 2 degrees, I've got life experience. And I also stepped into this company that has debt that needs to be downgraded. And it's been about 1.5 years now. And I'm very proud and happy to say that we're now net positive. So,
Wow. Well done.
thank you. It's been a really chaotic process, but I have learned so much about not only myself, the business, how things work, how people run their companies. Like it's been such a learning experience. And my main value was not to lose who I am and what I believe in. So I have made Flatworld adhere to what I believe in, which is fair hiring and fair processes, feedback at every single step for the candidate, and companies getting the right talent and not having to spend obscene amount of money to fix a mistake they made.
Love that. I've been a long, long time in HR, and your company went through difficult times and comes out. But in my career, I've seen global companies shut down entire divisions and business operating units. I've seen small companies do downsizing. It's the roller coaster of business. So wonderful that you've learned so much, that's for sure. I'm curious, the job you applied for, that was probably recruitment related, I'm guessing?
Yes, I have a psychology degree. I participated in kind of group therapy setting and did a little bit of training in that. So I have a lot of background.
Yeah, it's a natural fit. Yeah.
Yes, it is and it isn't kind of actually HR. It's funny.
A lot of people have got the psych
It
background.
should be, but it's not. That's what I
it should
found.
be more.
It should be more, yes.
Yeah.
So the role that I was originally rejected for was a recruiter role because I had no recruiter experience, which completely valid. But the role they actually needed hiring for was an operations role, which I was perfect for.
You were applying for a recruitment role and then operations was actually what you ended up doing and so on. to becoming a CEO? So some people listening to this are going, I'm stepping into a CEO role or something like that. How do you bridge that gap? Even if it's a small company, it's still a really big job. You've got all the different functions,
Oh, it
marketing,
is.
finance.
Absolutely. And it didn't happen so quickly. It was 4 years in the process as well. So when I stepped into Flatworld, I ended up leading all of the communications between the customers, the candidates, and the recruiters. So I ended up becoming kind of a hub, and I ended up training all of our employees. I stepped into the ownership of Flatworld pretty early on because I loved what we did and I believed in the message. Quite honestly, I believed in the CEO at the time, and he was incredible at delegating. And he was incredible at allowing me to step into that role naturally and teach me and mentor me through the years and add another layer every time. So the most recent layer was the handling of new clients and how to present the company as your own and be that representation. The CEO is still in the picture, but silently, and he's incredible at being able to mentor me through this process. I'm exceptionally lucky to have such an incredible CEO who was willing to mentor me and step away.
Nice.
That doesn't happen very often. And it's been a very interesting evolution of our relationship, and it's been really great to be allowed to make mistakes and learn from them and then go back and have this mentorship and be able to improve and continue.
Yes, it's the best way to be. What do you see the future being for Flatworld? And then for people listening to this and they think, oh, I could refer some business in, or I know some companies that would be ideal. Who are those ideal companies? What kinds?
So future for Flatworld holds kind of cutting through the AI noise at the moment. That's our big one right now. It's getting less and less easy to see what is AI and what isn't, and what CV is written with AI and what isn't. So our future is about real candidates and providing real concrete evidence that this is a real person who really looked at your company and really wants to be there. And as far as companies are concerned and what kind of companies we work with and we'd be happy to hear from, we work with basically any tech company that is looking to hire long-term remote candidates. We don't do part-time roles. We don't do contract roles. We do long-term relationships. So if you're looking to have a team member or team members in a different country, that is where you come to us, because we will find the candidates. We will show you all of the requirements to be legal in hiring them from that country, provide you references for any tools that you may need and any support you may need. So yeah, we're kind of a one-stop shop.
Excellent. Very good. So if people want to learn more about Flatworld, what should they do next?
They should go to flatworld.co. That's our website. Or you can, of course, message me on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, Izzy, congratulations. You've had quite the journey and you've already had success, but I'm sure there's many more successes coming. So thank you for sharing them today with us on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us today on A Better HR Business, the podcast that explores the world of HR consulting and HR tech businesses. For show notes and downloads, go to www.getmorehrclients.com/podcast. That's getmorehrclients.com/podcast. Remember to subscribe and share the show with any friends who are busy growing a HR business. Thanks, and see you next time.